Okay, so I'm going to say something people are going to find controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway. Listen, you guys, I just am sick of all of these flipping mental health disorders. Now, listen, I want to say something. Do I think it's good for us to recognize characteristics and find pathways for individuals to be able to, um, you know, take those things into account in life? Yes. But my problem is this. Why is individualism like considered odd? When we're all individuals, like God created us all to be different. So of course, like I think about this with the kids, right? And like the types of mental disorders that they get, right? They might be, so for example, one child would be diagnosed autistic. Why? Because they don't respond well to social cues. So what? So what? We need people like that in the world. We need people who are critical thinkers, who are not swayed by the room and the societal pressure, who stick with the facts and like stick to the fact more than anything else, and who can hyperfixate and focus on something, right? In order to get it done. Like let's talk about Elon Musk, for example. Where I was working like 17 hours. I find it quite interesting how many rich people, well, not really rich, but well-known people who've done something and have not been found to be some of these mental health disorders, but I won't get into that right now. Why is that strange? Why does that have to be neurodivergent? I have a problem with this neurodivergent. What are we diverging from? Because there is no normal. There is no normal. Even the world as it is, even the basic societal norm, if you will, it's just one big agreement of a bunch of rules that we all follow in anxiety and cowardice, if we're being completely honest with ourselves. It's not that you actually think a lot of the things that you do at the end of the day, because this is the other thing. People don't get tested in their morals and values very often, and in their beliefs. So it's easy to like kind of blend in and think there's this kind of version of norm. And if you're not in the norm, you're then abnormal. Who's normal? I want to know who's the normal one. What is our reference point? Right? What are we measuring things like relative to? Let's be specific here, because I don't get it. Like, for example, I'll tell you guys what I mean. Like in the periodic table, right? I just was thinking about this yesterday. You know how in the periodic table it gives you masses, right? Relative atomic masses. The relative atomic masses in the periodic table, it's a mass relative to carbon-12. So what is their weight relative to carbon-12? But it's not got like a unit measurement. But at least it's a way of, we know what we're measuring against. So when I read that, I don't know, oxygen has a relative atomic mass of 12. No, it wouldn't, because it's freaking carbon has a relative atomic mass of 12. You dingus. What is oxygen's relative atomic mass? Probably like 16, I would think. Yeah, because it's got 8. Yeah, 16. So when I read that, distracting. Oh my God, it's the men at work for me. It's the men. Anyway, so who we oh gosh, look what's again. Who are we? The Lord is good. Praise Jesus. This is how I know the Lord is real. Like, how could I just walk out of my house? Okay, hold on. Yeah, so as I was saying, so we know what we're measuring all the masses against. I know why the relative atomic mass of oxygen is 16 relative to carbon 12. Okay, great, clear. So societally, what is it relative to? If you're saying that this person is neurodivergent, who's the carbon 12? Is what I'm saying. Who's the carbon 12? And where? And how are then we measuring the deviation from whatever this thing is as well? Because what it seems like to me is we live in a society where people don't care anymore, really, about people. So in order for you to get people to care about you the way we should care about people in general, this is why I said I don't believe love exists anymore on this planet, right? It's such a strong statement, but I don't mean that everywhere. Of course, there's like some love happening. But even then, when people do loving things and when people whatever. People are like, oh, you should be so lucky. We wish there were more people like that in the world. And all of this, right? You're not trying to be that yourself. And if somebody else has it, they're lucky. Or whatever, we're going to go down that rabbit hole, right? I just think the standards of love are in the bin. We have to pay to have somebody to talk to, right? Oh, therapy. We're going to go to a professional. And I realize that people love to wash their hands these days and like be like to someone, oh, you need therapy. Like, we can't help you with this one. Since when did we even need professionals? What did all these generations that came before us, so-called apex idiots that we are, right? Since when did we even do this? What did people do before therapy existed? Oh, exactly. Like, they keep doing all of these things to, like, hold on. Guys, I completely lost my train of thought because I had to walk into the store. What was I saying? And it was too small for me to continue talking in there. You know what I mean? I don't want to disrupt the people. Anyways, all to say, I just feel, oh yeah, the love thing. I feel like our standards of love are just in the bin. Like, we don't look after people and meet them where they're at anymore. And as soon as they're like anything outside of what we think seems like a reasonable amount of energy to have to output, then there has to be another whole title. And people need these to, like, and even though this annoys me, I'm in favor of people actually getting these diagnoses because I know they won't get like the attention they need without it because people will just brush it off. But I'm just like, what if people are just different? You know, and I see it from where I'm coming from. I'm thinking the scientific people that I meet, you know, they're very calm, they're very hyper focused, very serious individuals. You know what I mean? Great listeners, very intricate people that are ask a lot of questions and have a slight sense of arrogance over other people, which all I think are requirements to be a good scientist. You have to have a little bit of arrogance because you have to be arrogant enough to be prepared to ask questions other people are not prepared to ask and to continue down a thought track and defend yourself, right? So I get it. And I think that's, you know, something that I encourage people, you know, when doing, oh my gosh, God is good. The people, oh my gosh, I encourage people as well, right? But then I also know on the flip side, you have the creative types. They are loud, they're in your face, they're all over the show, you know what I mean? They burst into song and dance at every given moment, and you all know theatre kids. They're animated, like it's because of the work they do. They have to eat, sleep, live, breathe this. Like they're gonna have to audition. They're gonna have to be going up against other people. They're gonna be doing long 12-hour, 15-hour filming days, so they've got to keep their energy up the whole time. So living their lifestyle like that is just a part of their personality. Now, some of those traits, if we look at either group, and I'm just using two groups as examples, right? Either of those traits, some of the traits for both of those categories, we could put into some mental health disorders. Or we could just love people for who they freaking are. And we can love them the way they need to be loved. This is why I always talk about my favorite Bible verse, 1 John 3:18. Little children, let us love not just in word, but in deed and in truth. But the problem is, in this culture, in this society, in this world that we live in, we've allowed it to become to a thing where we will gladly, happily accept low levels, low standards of love as the norm. That's the norm, if anything. Because to me, it's like, it's one of the reasons why I want to homeschool my children, right? Because I want them to know that like they're going to have individual needs, as do all kids, right? Anybody who's a parent who's had children, you know, even if you have never worked with children, you know your children are different, right? And so you have to cater to their needs differently in their personalities, and there shouldn't be anything wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it should be like, even some of these behaviors that children do that they get villainized for, like picking things apart. So they might take apart your whole, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something random in the house, like a vacuum cleaner. They might take apart your whole vacuum cleaner. That's because they're inquisitive. They're inquisitive. They want to understand how things work. You know, I remember like growing up, I used to like I started cooking really early on, right? And I also used to make these random potions with random. I was calling them potions because that's what my mum used to call them. But I used to mix random stuff in the house just to like see what would happen. Like I was experimenting from early on, and I am actually so grateful to her that she allowed for me to do that, because I really feel like it helped me to feel Like the encouragement was there. Like I remember even my grandfather came and stayed with us for a while when I was quite young, because he died in 2024. Rest in peace. All my grandparents are dead. It's one of the most stressful things. But anyway, and everybody was so busy telling me to get an education when I wanted to be spending time with them. And then I was like, oh, fine, I'll do my education, and I can spend time with them afterwards. And then my grandma dies while I'm at university. And then the last couple of years ago, my last two grandparents died. And my first grandparent actually died before I was long before I was even born. So that's another thing that really irritated me. Like if I wasn't doing this stupid school system everybody was telling me to freaking do, then anyway, so I'll never get to anyway. But yeah, I used to do all these potions and stuff. Like, so why are we villainizing these things about kids? Like, why? And then why do we, when somebody's a bit different, a bit quirky, a bit whatever? And what even makes them different and quirky? What even makes them different? Because different to who and different to what? Like I said, relative atomic mass, okay, relative to carbon-12, got it. So that makes sense to me. I get where we get the relative atomic masses from. Hence why they don't have units, because it's not really a measurement, but it's like a relative measurement. And then if you look at it, it all makes sense. Protons weigh about 1. The relative mass of proton will be 1, neutron will be 1, and an electron is basically nothing. It makes a lot of sense. Then it all just becomes a game of ratios, and you then have an actual mass. We know the number of moles. We can literally virtually count the number of atoms or molecules in anything. It's all very quantitative. It's very clear, right? Obviously people don't get it because of how poorly things are taught in school. I get it. But yeah, and I didn't even think to make that as a video, but of course I should. That I think science and maths is taught poorly in school on purpose. I'm gonna make that video. But yeah, so I just want to know against who. That's why I'm getting sick of it, because it's like every day people are like, oh, you definitely got the tism these days. And I keep seeing, oh, you got, like, I hear people I know, like, oh yeah, so and so, like, got a diagnosis of ADHD. And like, I'm gonna say something that's gonna sound rude, like, because one of them was like a man in his 50s. I was like, realistically speaking, does that really matter at this point? The only reason these things matter, it's not even so much for the person, it's to enforce the people around them to love them the way that they need to be loved, which is what should be the default position anyway. This is what I'm trying to say. Why is it that we have to? Why can't you just pay attention? Like, this is all giving me a headache. Because like, when I know someone, like when I have people in my life, I pay a lot of attention to them, and I'll eventually understand. You know, at first it's like a teaching. At first, I might do something they don't like. Yeah, they might do something I don't like. Whatever. In the beginning, while everybody's getting to know each other. But any kind of other types of relationships, and even with that, over time, you should be, you know, in this case, it's my dog, but like in adult relationships, as time goes on, you should be paying attention and like making adjustments the more you understand a person, right? In any type of way, whether that's your friend, whether that's your family, whoever, right? You should be making more adjustments over time because you actually pay attention. When they're talking, you're actually listening. When you do this and you can see that they visibly become anxious, you realize maybe I won't do that again. Or you ask, hey, did you not like it when I did such and such? Or you communicate yourself, excuse me, I don't appreciate when this, or I didn't like it when whatever. Why can't we do that? Why does it have to be the doctor has to give you a diagnosis, right, so that everybody can love you the way that you need to be loved? Why is it that, yesterday when so-and-so was telling you that they were stressed about something, they were being problematic. Tomorrow, because you've been told that it's ADHD, now we have a plan for how to deal with the ADHD situation. And now all of a sudden we can do it. Like, it's so stupid. And these things take so long to get diagnosed anyways. There's different factors that might stop you from being diagnosed soon enough as well. Like, for example, if you're a female and you're autistic, it's highly unlikely that you'll get diagnosed. In general, the less serious your symptoms or the less you have of something, the less likely you are to get diagnosed in general. You may be misdiagnosed about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. This is happening a lot with a lot of the kids. They're not getting diagnosed that quickly. And so people are waiting for these diagnoses, and it's preventing their education, it's preventing their lives. What is in my nose? Oh my gosh, my nose is peeling. And then so if the longer that it takes, if you're a kid and you need help at school and they're looking for support, you might have your whole education put on pause because everybody's waiting to have a freaking diagnosis to give you, just so people can love you the way that you need to be loved, even though you're articulating with your mouth your needs. Because this is the thing. This is what was frustrating me about my job, last year. Because I was thinking, that job, I should say. I was thinking, some of these kids, right, like I said, all have been diagnosed with this, that, and the other, right? So all of them can articulate to you exactly what their needs are. Clearly. A lot of them had said what they did or didn't need. But you know why that wasn't happening or being addressed? Because the adults were so busy figuring that out for them and telling them what's actually going on, and telling them. When you ask them, like I was saying to you, there was one kid, they were like, oh, he's autistic, whatever. He's like, well, I don't see why I should be sitting in a chair 6 days a week, for 6 hours a day. I don't see why I should be in school 5 days a week, why I can't do 4 days a week. These are questions that should be addressed and answered. No one's saying that everybody has to change the whole world. He's not being a delinquent. He's having questions about things that don't make logical sense to him. Fair enough. Ask questions. That's what makes a good scientist. That's why people can't do freaking science and maths anymore. Because no one knows how to ask questions. Because even when 2-year-olds are asking why, people consider that the terrible twos. Bro, do you know that my relationship with God, do you know how I got here? Because I was the terrible two. I terrible two with God. Like, God, why this and why that? And why this and why that? And why this and why that? And I ask all the questions that nobody else finna ask. Because I know everybody else is too nervous to ask, because it's the society we live in, because the societal norm is that we all just are anxious and cowardly. And so if you're not anxious and cowardly, then you're the weird one. If you're not following the societal script, and if you're not making sure that you're not making anybody uncomfortable, if you don't behave the way that the sheeple are behaving, then there's something wrong with you. If you can't function in the machine, you're neurodivergent. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sick of this. Can I just say? I am sick. I am all for loving people where they're at. Love them for who they are. You know what I mean? Like, there was one girl who I was teaching, one of the girls, and one of her issues is that I can't remember what she's diagnosed with at the top of my head right now, and they were saying, oh, she struggles in school, blah 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 blah. Now, she does struggle to stop and do specific tasks, but she's deeply creative. So, like, she's like 12, and she can, like, make music, like play multiple instruments, and she wrote a whole book, a children's book, with illustrations, with games, with crosswords, with all sorts of things. She wrote a book. I was thinking, if this was my daughter, do you think I'd be wasting any time trying to squeeze her into a box? I'll be like, let's nurture her creativity. Let's publish the damn book. Like, let's work around this and make sure you get your education. Because let's be honest as well, even with education, I'm going to keep talking about this. The basic education that a lot of people, that we all need, it's not that much. Like, to have to do. It's not that time consuming. The amount of actual basic education, basic maths, English, even if you want to add in a couple of other subjects, whatever, it's not that much. And it's not that hard to do. And again, ironically, even though she's this big, huge creative, she's still, because of the music, because of whatever, she's still very much a logical thinker. So she loves the maths and stuff like that. Where she was struggling is where she's been asked stupid questions in English, and where she's been asked to spell dumb words. Like, what was the one I saw the other day? Reindeer. Right? Reindeer. It would be easy as a kid, knowing the word, the way that different words are spelled, like to misspell like a word like reindeer. So reindeer. And what's the other one? Pigeon. Those words are not said how they're written exactly. So it's confusing. But now if you don't do it right as a kid, oh no, you're not smart or whatever. And if they start asking you why this, why that, why is it spelled like that, why this, oh, you're neurodivergent. I'm done, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I gotta say. That's again. You guys have heard what I have to say here. I'm just a woman of the people. I'm a woman of the people for the people. That's it. I feel like we should just love people the way they need to be loved. Love them where they're at. Love them for who they are. And everything would be fine. A lot of these other things in the world that we've had to add, these little counterfeit, these little compromise things, we wouldn't need them. If you care about somebody, just pay attention to them, understanding their needs, what they need, what they whatever, and help them. If they notice they have the whole point, even just the team element, the whole point even of us as a world being a team, we're overall a team as a society, right? So we all have different things we're good at. Look, there's these fantastic men over there building, I don't even know what, actually they weren't building anything, they were trimming the hedges. Fantastic. I'm not out here trimming the edges. I'm out here teaching the youth of tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? I love learning about the jobs of the parents that are the jobs that the parents do of the kids that I teach and stuff. Because I'm like, it's so fascinating how we're all contributing to the society together as a team, and our strengths and weaknesses are all coming together. Because all the time parents say to me, I could not have the patience, and I'm like, fair enough. That's why I do. That's called being a team. Am I going to villainize you because you don't have the patience? No. You know what I'm saying? Because that's why we have a team. That's why there's people like me who decide to do that. I don't have the patience to sit in an office and do small talk with people that I probably don't even like. So, it all works out. So, yeah, anyways, you guys, I'm going to leave it there. Wow, I just really wanted to get that off my chest because it's just been frustrating me. Like, I feel like we're just going to keep having to have more and more and more and more ways to explain ourselves, more and more titles to be able to essentially tell. It's like to essentially be able to tell people like how we need to be loved because we don't have the skills anymore to do that. Like, we have to have more and more information to like tell people, oh, by the way, I'm like this and I'm like that, because God forbid you rock the boat and God forbid you're anything outside of the societal script of the societal norm of the anxiety and coward-ridden society, then you're not normal, making us uncomfortable, it's too much, it's too much. No, doesn't make any sense to me. Like I said, my question is, if we're gonna call all of these things, tell me who is the normal one. Who is carbon 12 in this situation? I would like to know, because it seems to me, right? It seems to me like, even like this work I'm telling you about now, these guys out here doing work. I see some young men like, and I'm just like, it's a waste of time them being in school right now, and they're being called misbehaved. They need to like do some physical activity and just be given instructions about what to do and just do something that makes them feel like they've done something. And that would make so much more sense than them sitting here right now and me explaining to them about why carbon 12, all the atoms are relative to carbon 12. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you here? Why are you here? Anyways, you guys, like I said, they're just different. We're all different. But yeah, back to the game. Let's play to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one.